Monday, everyone. Happy Monday. It is one of those days. There are DDoS attacks going on everywhere. I took a look over to see what's going on. We can't stream on X. I think we're streaming on the tube. But yeah, it's been something with X being down and DDoS attacks, and welcome to my friends on Rumble and Getter and even streaming on YouTube, which hates me so much. They hate me. We're going to have a great conversation today, though, and I'm super excited to have it because it's multifaceted, and I am wearing my Make Frying Oil Tallow Again shirt today because the title of the show is The Beef Tallow Controversy. And over the past couple of days or shows, I've been talking about this tallow revolution that's going on, and it is so exciting that it's happening. But there's a lot of details that need to be discussed here, and I want to try and give you a roundabout guidance system, for lack of a better word, on what's good, what's not, how to handle things, how not to handle them. I want to move this over. Got so many things going on. So let's see who we have in the chat today. On Rumble, we have Sharon, and CJP is here, and Captain Johnny's here, and Will is here, and JJ's here, and Zelly's here. And who else? Anna Banana's here, and Future Folk is here, and we've got a whole bunch of people here in the chat. This is such a multifaceted issue for so many reasons. It is fan-freaking-tastic that we have made such loud noise as a community that fast food restaurants and others are taking note and are deciding that they want to make their food, their end result, more in line with what the market is demanding, what Maha as a kind of collective is demanding. And one of those things is seed oils. There has been a very loud and beneficial push to stop people from consuming preservative-laden food and seed oils. And it's super important because they are wildly inflammatory and very unhealthy for you. And the process by which they're made is absolutely disgusting. And they should not be in food. And 99.9% of all of these places that most Americans go to grab a quick meal fry and cook their food with seed oils. I can tell you from personal experience that once and I'm probably not even fully, quote, detoxed from seed oils, it takes years, but after I cut seed oils out, if I accidentally consume something that has them, my body reacts immediately. I feel it almost immediately. They are just really bad for you. So we've gone to lengths in my household to remove completely seed oil from everything. So it's easy when you're just consuming meat. In case you guys didn't know, I'm a carnivore and I only eat red meat. So when you're doing that, it's easy not to consume seed oil because you just don't cook with it. A lot of people have gone to the grocery store saying, okay, well, cold pressed oils are okay. I'm going to get myself some olive oil, and don't realize that they're even tricking you with olive oil. They're not being honest. You have to read the labels. A lot of the times your cold pressed olive oil is being mixed with seed oils. They're using new terms to come up with things that are, still seed oils and still processed the same way, but are friendlier sounding or new. Like, for example, rapeseed oil. That's a newer one that's hit labels lately. It's canola oil, basically. Or sunflower oil, which I talked about a lot on Thursday on the podcast. Sunflower oil, still a seed oil, still the same thing. If you need to cook with some sort of an oil, you can use beef tallow, pure beef tallow. If you want to get a really good beef tallow, the best beef tallow for you to consume is from grass-fed beef. Because remember, beef tallow is the fat of the cow or the beef from around the kidney and the organs. And that fat contains a lot of whatever that animal is eating. So if you're using a grass-fed beef tallow, it is definitely the purest. But there are other beef tallows that, like grain-fed beef tallow. Like, let's not get crazy. If you're just starting out on this, or you're not, independently wealthy, There is other pure beef tallow that you can get that is not cut with seed oils and preservatives and other things. And you can do it. You just have to be very mindful. So for a population who is just starting to learn about all of this, and it can be overwhelming for people to all of a sudden be kind of bombarded with all this information about what you can and cannot do, or what you should and shouldn't do to make yourself healthy. Because there's a lot of information out there. There are some people out there, if you follow them, you will be living in a hut someplace in the mountains, not wearing any fabric that isn't, completely pure spun cotton. And we have to balance all of this in our own lifestyles. And I say it often, but the best place for you to begin trying to make yourself healthy again is with what you consume and put in your mouth. But you don't have to feel pressured to jump in to something wildly extreme right off the bat. So a lot of people have said, okay, well, if I'm going to do anything, I'm going to start to pay attention to like the preservatives and the oils and other things in my food, and I'm going to start to cut that out. But I'm very busy and I don't have time to home cook all of my meals. So if I'm going to do this, I need to know if there's anywhere out there that will give me a fast meal that doesn't use seed oils in their cook. And because there was this growing market demand, an app, a service started up called Seed Oil Scout. It's something that my husband and I subscribe to and use when we're traveling or out and about and we need to eat out. And they go and they will tell you what kind of oils each fast food chain and restaurant uses in their food. And I'm not a partner with them. I'm not sponsored by them. I have an itchy nose, which means I'm going to fight with somebody today. But I'm not sponsored by them at all. Like, I don't even know who owns Seed Oil Scout, but I know that my husband and I have relied on Seed Oil Scout for this. When we're out and about and we need to eat out and know what restaurants are using seed oil or not. So given that there's this large distrust among the general public, or naivete, for lack of a better word, about supply chain and seed oils and whatever and blah, blah, blah. When a restaurant or a fast food chain comes out and says, we are now using tallow for all of our frying, and tallow has become, or shortening, has become a buzzword for people trying to be healthy. And then you find out that while using this as a sort of a marketing ploy for people, like, please come eat at our restaurants, we're now frying our fries in 100% beef tallow. Given what some of us who have been kind of in this world have experienced before, we are going to be scrutinizing, because normal Joe Schmo who doesn't know any better could go into a restaurant and think they're eating pure beef tallow fries and not understand that a lot of these restaurants are using beef tallow that is cut with preservatives and other agents to stop it from foaming, and they're just as bad. You cut, so they can reuse it, because beef tallow is not inexpensive. It's a very expensive, for them, for a fast food chain, it's a very expensive way to cook. It's not easy. And so they're cutting their beef tallow with crap that makes the beef tallow useless at the end of the day. What health benefit is there to that if they're putting a whole bunch of junk and crap in their tallow? And I will call that out. Be careful what kind of tallow your restaurants are using. If they're saying they're using beef tallow, make sure it's actually beef tallow and not something else. So this whole controversy has erupted over Steak and Shake, okay? Steak and Shake has said, they came out and they said they have gone maha with their restaurants, and they are now frying their fries in 100% beef tallow. And immediately I looked, and what was available online was, yes, it's beef tallow, but also it had these preservatives in it. And so that was a problem. And then they came out and they said, actually, no, some restaurants have pure beef tallow. It's all pure beef tallow. All of our fries are fried in 100% beef tallow. But there's a problem with that, okay? The problem is that you never know this unless you knew it. But we have a problem with our supply chains. Let me just explain this. When you go out and you get fries from a restaurant like Steak and Shake, those fries come to Steak and Shake from the production line, pre-cut, pre-fried about 70%, frozen, and then delivered to the restaurant to finish, okay? And the people that are doing the initial frying of those fries are frying their fries in vegetable oil. Then they're freezing them and shipping them off to Steak and Shake or other restaurants. Then those other restaurants are taking those fries and frying them in beef tallow. But you're still consuming 70% vegetable oil or canola oil or whatever other oil they're choosing to fry at the distributor in our supply chain. So when people started asking Steak and Shake, are your fries coming straight from distributor, fried in vegetable oil first, or are they natural? Instead of Steak and Shake being transparent and claiming and saying, listen, here's the deal. We are in restaurant frying in tallow. Unfortunately, it's a laborious process to get our fries any other way. We can't do a self-cut at the restaurant. It takes too much time and blah, blah, blah. Instead of being honest about that and letting MAHA activists tackle the distributor, right? They started attacking Steak and Shake, the brand, started attacking the influencers, quote, who were raising alarm bells about the fact that everyday American out there, while it is absolutely amazing that all of these fast food restaurants are starting to use tallow, the tallow you're getting, the food you're getting, the end result that you're consuming is not necessarily seed oil free. And I think it's incumbent upon us to be very aware of what we're putting in our bodies. And I think it's very important that when a chain bases an entire marketing campaign around something and then removes the ingredients from online, from the nutrition facts, the way that Steak and Shake did. You can't see their ingredients, and I'm going to show you that because I have it up here. Hold on. Where is it? And then when people try to reach out and get information from the brand that is online, walking around basically slamming all of these very important activists that have talked about food health and stuff like that for years and years. And instead of being kind, they're accusing them of being liars. And not only that, but they also accused this one influencer, his name is Alex Clark, of, lying about them approaching her for a brand deal that she denied. It's been a big hot mess. Steak and Shake did not do themselves any favors whatsoever at all. Everyone should study what Nicholas Jammer, Johnny Nemo, and Sweet Green did. A clear communication of the intention to evolve their oils and description of challenges, maintaining consistency of dressing, auditing suppliers, etc. Companies need to be in constant dialogue with customers like Sweet Green, not trying to get a quick MAHA marketing win. So what it appeared like to many of us who know better is that Steak and Shake wanted to capitalize on the MAHA trend by saying that they'd gone to beef tallow, but when asked hard questions about what their food actually is in terms of their fries, they didn't want to answer, and they wouldn't give an answer. And then instead of being transparent with people, started attacking the people asking for answers in a really snarky way, which makes me unfortunately not trust them at all. Now, if you want my advice, don't eat potatoes. That's what I would say. Don't eat fries. Don't eat potatoes. Don't eat fast food at all. If you're going to go out and get something from a fast food restaurant, make sure that you're getting beef, ground beef of some kind. But don't consume 73 grams of carbs in a medium potato, French fry order. That's just me. So this is the problem. Now, there are several other restaurants that claim to cook in tallow, but under further inspection actually are cooking in the tainted tallow that we talked about before. I don't know about you, but if I was going to go out to a restaurant and I was not a carnivore, but I was trying to eat more healthy, potentially keto, or allowing myself some carbohydrates during the day, I would go and I would pay more willingly for pure food not tainted by seed oils. Because seed oils make me feel like I've been hit by a truck. They're terrible. And the problem is that you don't realize that you are so inflamed until you remove the source of inflammation from your body. And then your body is like, ooh, my knees aren't supposed to hurt every day. My back isn't supposed to hurt every day. My feet aren't supposed to hurt every day. Then is when you realize the benefit of cutting seed oils from your diet. Let's see. Can we actually pin? No. We're still down. I don't even think I'm streaming to X at all. Yeah, it's not working. Let me try again. Let's see. Nope. Can't stream to X. That's all right. We'll get over it. So this is the sort of thing that we need to really look out for. I said this the other day, when you're grocery shopping, if you're trying to really be healthy and get down, because every day you have a choice of what you put in your mouth. You have a choice of what you eat. You have a choice what you consume for sustenance every single day. That is the easiest thing to start with when you're trying to get healthy, especially if you've already been injured by a pharmaceutical intervention of some kind, whether it be the mRNA vaccine or something else. The first thing that you want to do is get your body functioning at peak levels, completely healthy, so that you can alter and fix the damage that's been caused. If you have an autoimmune disease, it's because your immune system is out of whack and it's attacking your body. That's what an autoimmune disease is. So the best thing you can do is focus on getting your immune system working right again. And the best way to do that is to feed your body what it needs to function optimally, not flood it with a bunch of chemicals and garbage and nonsense, which many people out there don't even realize that they're getting. I'll give you an anecdote. Okay, so there's a group on Facebook that my husband's a part of. It's a keto group, right? And so all these people are eating keto. What is keto? Keto is carnivore light, for lack of a better word. It allows carbohydrates. Some say up to 70 grams a day. Others say less. It doesn't, it depends on what version of keto you're following. But it is for people who are like, you know what, I'm going to go keto so that I'm healthy. And they come in, it's picked up steam. A lot of people are keto. So now they're marketing all these products from these big distributors, like for breads and all kinds of other stuff that are supposedly, quote, keto friendly. But when you get these things like I don't know, like a dessert or an ice cream that is clean keto, so there's no sugar in it. So that means they're using alternative sweeteners, which are a whole nother ballgame in and of themselves. So people will be like, look at this. I found this great bread or this great dessert. That's fantastic. Look at it. It's no sugar. And they'll show the ingredients wrapper and think they're eating healthy. But when you read the ingredients in this item, your mouth falls to the floor. It's a paragraph long, things you can't pronounce, chemicals, all kinds of dyes, crap. But it says keto on it. So because people are still not well educated on what eating healthy actually is, they'll go out and buy this keto bread and consume copious amounts of it, thinking they're getting something that's good for them, when in actuality, they're still eating chemical-laden crap. And so those of us who are aware of these tactics and know what these big retailers do or big food distributors do are very, very careful with this idea that people are selling healthy food if their food really isn't actually healthy. For example, fries, fried in tallow. If you are out there telling your customer, even if it's true, our fries are fried in 100% beef tallow, but before you get the damn fries, they're actually fried in vegetable oil 70% of the way, And here you are marketing to a group of impressionable people just starting their health journey to get well and telling them that your fries are healthy because they're fried in tallow. There are so many things wrong with that, and it makes me not trust you when you won't admit it and you attack the messenger. And a lot of people out there got mad at me when I said I would not eat at Steak and Shake if it were me because I don't trust them. Well, they're doing what's right. They're really trying to do the right thing. We can't knock them for trying 100%. And if Steak and Shake came out and said, we are going to finish our fries in 100% beef tallow, but community, we need your help because we can't source potatoes en masse from any distributor that also fries their fries in beef tallow. Do you know how far that would have gone for so many of us to jump on board with Steak and Shake and try and make them like the brand that's going to tackle the large distributor who's creating these fries for these fast. But they didn't do that. So now I'm forced, sadly, to say I don't trust you and I won't recommend you because I don't trust you. And your fries are not 100% fried in beef tallow. They're 70% fried in vegetable oil, which is a harmful seed oil that well-meaning people won't be aware of and will go out and consume your fries thinking they're getting 100% tallow fried fries and still feel like crap. And then what's going to happen? They're going to say, oh, I switched to tallow and I didn't notice any difference between tallow and seed oil. It's the same thing like when people say they're doing a carnivore diet, but they're also eating a bunch of crap with it. And then they say, well, carnivore didn't work for me. That's nonsense. I'm sorry. I have never met one person that has gone carnivore, literally carnivore, and had anything but absolutely amazing results from doing so. And it's an elimination. You're eliminating everything but what you need to survive, to live and thrive. So of course you're going to see health benefits when you cut out slathering products with chemicals all over your body and consuming products with chemicals. And as you start to become well from this, if you dare accidentally reintroduce a normal standard American diet food into your diet, your body will tell you immediately, ouch, what are you doing to me? And it is this basis that allows us to do this trifecta that I keep talking about over and over and over again, which is heal your body. Your body feels good. You start having more energy. You start thinking more clearly. You start to feel better. You're no longer asking or praying to God to save you, to help you. You're no longer going to a doctor looking for a quick fix or a pharmaceutical intervention to make you better. You don't need to take painkillers and copious amounts of Tylenol and anti-inflammatories because you feel good. Once you feel good, your mind starts thinking more sharply. You start doing your due diligence. You start paying more attention. Once that happens, you start reconnecting to God. And the trifecta is complete. Once you realize again the truth of who you actually really are, you start connecting back to God, and the trifecta of all of this healing is complete. And so the seed oil controversy, the beef tallow controversy with Steak and Shake isn't that we're trying to take a dump all over Steak and Shake because they said that they did, that's not what it is. It's that transparency is key and important. And you can't tell people that your fries are 100% beef tallow fries when they're 70% vegetable oil fries. It's just wrong. You can't take your ingredient list off of your website and say, we're so sorry, we don't have the ingredients up here right now. And then expect people not to ask questions. And really consider when you're attacking people who have made this their passion project, what you're doing for your brand. I mean, they are absolutely inappropriately snarky. It offended me on behalf of the people they were attacking. It made me very uneasy to see a brand trying to capitalize on a slogan that took the country by storm because people desperately and earnestly want to make themselves feel better and make themselves healthy again. use that to make themselves this champion restaurant of maha on their own without asking anyone's permission, just doing it, making this huge marketing campaign off of it, and not being true to what they're saying. They're selling you. I think there should be a discussion about this because I think there's an opportunity here, even with all of this crap, to focus on the root cause of all of this, which is the distributors of these fries, or figure out a better way to get fresh cut fries in your stores. I will never eat another fresh French fry a day in my life, so it doesn't matter to me. It's not like I'm not eating fries. I would advocate you not eat them either. But listen, you're going to make your own choices, and that's okay. That's okay. But if you're going to make choices about the fries you consume, consider that you might not be, if somebody's saying they cook in seed oil, I mean, they're seed oil free, and they're cooking in tallow, you should take another step to make sure what kind of tallow they're cooking in. No anti-caking agents, no anti-foaming agents, just pure beef tallow. Captain Johnny says, carnivore ultimate elimination diet. Once stable, you add one thing back at a time and find out what's okay for you and what isn't. However, you can stay carnivore for the rest of your life. Amen, Captain. Yes, you can. And yes, I will. I don't ever see myself changing this. I have added or tried to add things back in, but I don't feel good when I try doing things like that. It's just not worth it to me. The only thing that I'm able to add in that does help me personally, I feel better, which sounds crazy, is when I eat some blueberries. I feel better. Captain says, the biggest revelation of 13 months of carnivore, you don't realize how sick you are until you do it. 100%. Yes, 100%. Gigi said, Biglari Holdings. This is the parent company that owns and controls several businesses, including Steak and Shake. Sardar Biglari is the founder, chairman, and CEO of Biglari Holdings. Other subsidiaries besides Steak and Shake, Maxim Magazine, First Guard Insurance, Southern Oil, Abraxas Petroleum, and Western Sizzlin. Okay, so that is my seed oil / tallow controversy explainer. It is so important. I don't think I can stress how important diet actually is, and that's why I'm going to move to something else, okay? There is, as we've talked about many times, and I'm saying this as a personal thing, Tracy, not on behalf of any organization at all. I just want to make that very clear. This is Tracy's own personal opinion. There is a very, very wide net of things that can be considered maha. It spans across everything, really. It's food, it's farming, it's water and environment, it's spirituality and that part of thing. It's fitness, it's health, it's beauty products, for goodness sakes. What do you put on your skin? It's pharmaceutical reformation and anti corporatism. It's accountability for harms that have come from big pharma, etc., so on and so forth. It's all of these things. It is such a wide, it is the core of everything we are as humans and everything we've gone through as humans and our future. And there are so many subcategories within every single thing. Like if you just look at farming and ranching and then start to break down that one little bucket, there are dozens of verticals underneath that. If you just look at spirituality and kind of like self-actualization and personal development, and you start to break that down, there's so many different compartments under it. There's, sound healing, there's grounding, there's light therapies, there's all kinds of different things that you could focus on in all of those different areas. If you look at food, for goodness sakes, there's all kinds of things under there. There's your diet you could focus on. Like I focus on, carnivore, and I try to raise awareness about carnivore and the benefits of carnivore. That there's keto, there's veganism, even though I disagree with it. People advocate that. There are so many different facets underneath every single portion of each of these things. There's metabolic health and that whole thing that ties back into food. We heard Dr. Marty McCary talk about this the other day. There's all of these little verticals inside of this massive umbrella that is MAHA, Making America Healthy Again. There's, statin drugs and their harms and the truth about cholesterol. There's diabetes drugs and their harms and the truth about, Ozempic and what it does to your body. There's vaccine injury for kids who have grown up vaccine injured and their parents who have been fighting this fight for decades. There's mRNA vaccine injury from more recent victims of mRNA shots. There's the interventions that are going on in our beef and our livestock and our poultry and our pork. To sit there and say that if you don't focus on this as a priority, my pet issue, whatever your pet issue is, then your bad is to be, in my opinion, short-sighted of what we need. We need everybody under this banner who is passionate about making America healthy again to focus on what lights them up on their path. What drives them? What are they most passionate about? Is it food? Okay. Stick with the food. Is it vaccination and stopping the animals from being vaccinated? Okay. Focus on that. If it's a bunch of things like me, I am broad spectrum MAHA, okay? I have a lot of things that I am really passionate about under this banner that I will dedicate the rest of my life to working towards educating on and helping people to realize, as well as fixing things and advocating for change and getting us back to a place where we're healthy again, mind, body, and spirit. That is what I've dedicated the rest of my life to. That's why I'm here. Till God tells me otherwise, that's why I'm here. I will never stop advocating for carnivore because I am a product of a revolution inside of my own life that I want everybody to be aware of. My husband and I experienced this for ourselves. We know what it feels like. We're not going out there telling everybody do this because we don't know and we think it sounds good. We live it every single day. Every single day. So, to attack other people because they're not focused on what you consider to be a priority and try and tear them down is so antithetical to what we're trying to accomplish here, in my opinion. For example, and this person, Bryce has done such an amazing job over the past week and a half, 2 weeks, if not more. The person that I'm about to highlight here has done such stellar work to get the mRNA bird flu cattle issue out there in front of the general public. And I've helped as much as I can because I don't want our beef supply injected with mRNA and I don't want our chickens injected with mRNA. And he has done yeoman's work trying to raise awareness about this stuff. So this is not an attack on Bryce at all, but I want to highlight this real quick because it's important. He says, why are some in MAHA fighting with a burger joint, Steak and Shake, when the H1N1 swine flu vaccine is active in our pork supply? We need to have our priorities straight, and honestly, Cali means a public tiff with a fast food joint doesn't do anything for our movement. It's not a public tiff with a fast food joint. And I think that because Bryce isn't really passionate about seed oils and what's in our food and our metabolic health, he doesn't understand how absolutely vital that fight with Steak and Shake actually really is. And he thinks that it's not important and that anybody who's involved in it is distracting from what he considers to be a very important issue and is a very important issue, the vaccinations going into our animals. But we We need all of this, not just slivers of it. I've seen this happen before, and particularly with Casey, who I've never met before. Sorry, Callie. Callie? Casey? Callie. I've never met Callie before. I don't know him. Just putting that out there. But he is focused on food and metabolic health. Vani Hari is focused on getting dyes and stuff out of our cereals and foods. I am a proponent of never eating those foods again. I'm not going to attack Casey or Callie or Vani Hari for doing what they're passionate about to try and help save our country by making them healthy again. I would never attack somebody for not doing what I want them to or focusing on what I want them to when that is not what makes them passionate. There is enough here for everybody, trust me. Just because I am passionate about the seed oils in our fries and getting people to stop eating fries altogether, and also the childhood vaccine schedule, and also the COVID vaccine, and also getting people off statins, and also metabolic health, and also spiritual wellness, and just because that's me, because I have the great honor and privilege of dedicating every waking moment of my life to this, doesn't mean that that's everybody's focus. And just because they're not focused on one certain thing doesn't mean they're bad people. And there is a place for everybody to embrace what makes them passionate here. There's a place for everybody. I've seen this happen with COVID-19 vaccine injured people, mad that other people aren't demanding what they require, they demand to get those vaccines off the market. Those vaccines need to be removed from the market. Excuse me one second. Something in my throat. Those vaccines need to be removed from the market. I 100% agree. But if I wanted to be like that, couldn't I too say, why aren't you speaking out about MMR? Why aren't you speaking out about Gardasil? How dare you not speak out about, I don't know, the childhood vaccine schedule solely? That's where this all began. Why are you only focused on mRNA and not the rest of the vaccine schedule? Why don't you talk more about, do you see what I mean? What about all the moms that have vaccine injured kids for years that are what happened to us? Why are you only focused on the mRNA vaccine? If we start judging everything based on this blind loyalty to whatever your pet issue is in this banner, we're going to distinguish and disintegrate ourselves before we even begin. Crazy hair today. Before we even start with these purity tests of who should be talking about what and who should be doing what. We can't do that. I don't think it's fair to the metabolic health specialist who has spent their entire life, adult life, holy crap, we need to fix metabolic health, and we do that through food. If they don't start speaking out and saying what you demand of them, then they're bad news. We can't do that. To the point, I have a couple things that I want to show you today, and then I'm hoping, because it's 2:39, I want to get, I know that Dr. Marc, the dentist, is here. I want to play, and that's the other thing. Don't underestimate, it's fantastic that we've got Bobby in at HHS, and we're going to have Makari at the FDA, and we're going to have Jay Bhattacharya at the NIH, and hopefully we're going to have Dave Weldon at the CDC, etc. Okay? Your role doesn't change. And I would argue it's more important than ever. We've never seen a CDC come out and talk about using vitamin A to treat measles before. For years and years and years. I know there's a lot of questions for Dr. Marc, but I just need to get through this real quick. Maybe Dr. Marc will come on and join me to listen to these clips. Let me do that instead. So we get Dr. Marc up here. Hold on. Bear with me a moment as I fix this. I'm going to put this link in the description box. Dr. Marc can come up here. It's been a couple weeks. There we go. Here it is, Dr. Marc, dentist. Dr. Dentist. I'm going to pin this message at the top. Okay. I'm going to share my sound with him whenever he comes in here. And then I'm going to play 2 clips that I wanted to play for you guys. All right, here we go. Here's the first one. You know what? Before I do that and play that clip, everybody needs to go to, I'm going to put the link in the chat. Everybody needs to head on over. Hold on. To the National Citizens Inquiry Edmonton 2025 hearings on the channel on Rumble, NCI Canada, and look at their 2025 Day 3 hearings starting at around the 2-hour 30-minute mark. It's one of the most comprehensive, amazing presentations about vaccines and autism that I have ever had the privilege of consuming. It's revolutionary. It is so well done. It is so well sourced, so well put together. Take an hour and a half of your time and watch this, and then share it with all of your damn friends. It dispels every myth that this is well studied, that it's been looked. It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Anyway, now that that's out of the way, let's get back to this.
So let's look at this rate. Let me take you over to the board very quickly. As we pointed out, prior to there ever being a vaccine, the death rate was 1 in 500,000. It came down. It used to be about 14, per 100,000. And then slowly but surely, it came all the way down, not because of a vaccine. Vaccine didn't achieve this. All on its own, dropped to 1 in 500,000 before there was ever a vaccine. Okay? That's the reality. This vaccine cannot take credit, it tries to say, look at what we did. It never did. This was what was called a trivial childhood illness prior to there ever being a vaccine. In fact, there was about half the scientists in the 1950s and 60s, as they were moving towards the measles vaccine, thought it was one of the world's worst ideas. In fact, real virologists and immunologists complained and said, look, this, as the news just said in our news montage, is one of the most infectious diseases on the planet. But that's not a problem because it doesn't really kill many people. And let me be perfectly clear. Every one of your grandparents for sure had the measles. Every grandparent around the world, everyone alive today is only alive because your grandparents survived the measles. All right? 7-something billion people are here, survivors of families that went through the measles. Okay? That's what this represents. And what those scientists were saying is, why are we going to mess with a benign illness that everyone, that's not sickly or having other comorbidities can survive just fine? Why would we pressure that virus with a vaccine? That could be dangerous because if we don't eradicate it, if we don't eradicate measles from the planet, what we will be doing, especially if we have a leaky vaccine, meaning if it doesn't perfectly stop transmission, we're going to incubate and help this virus evolve to a place where maybe it becomes more infectious or even worse, becomes more deadly.
All right, so I paused it because we've got Doctor on with us. Good afternoon, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just shaved my head.
I see that. You look much different. Are you happy with it?
Well, my son's in medical school and he did for his boards, and so I thought I'd support him that way.
Oh, well, that's very kind. That's very kind. We have so many people who have questions for you. Ask your questions. Come on, Jen. I know you.
You promised you were going to oil pull with tallow.
I haven't done it yet.
Okay, maybe next.
I
Maybe
ate
next.
I ate it today though.
Lick the knife. Yeah.
No, well, I had meatballs fried in tallow. Like Will made the meatballs and then I coat them in pork rind panko crumbs and I fry them in tallow and they're delectable.
That's excellent. Well, we have that in common. I'm cooking a bolognese with my kids this afternoon for
Yummy.
dinner.
Fresh picked tomatoes?
Well, they're organic. They're in these like really nice glass because of all the beast best phenols and stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Plastics.
Here's a question for you.
I'm Dr. Debbie Downer when it comes to all this toxicity, Tracy.
No, it's not Debbie Downer. It's just, like I said in the beginning, it can get very overwhelming. Like, even I knowing all the things that I know and how pure we have made our household, sometimes I'm like, all right, like, enough is enough. Like, there's only so much you can do, right? But you need to know. Okay, so here's one of the questions. What do you think about red light therapy for the gums, mouth, and teeth?
Yeah, that's a new area. I mean, it's been on the radar for whole skin, all skin. But yeah, I just was at a conference. I met Pierre Corey this weekend. Saw him, and yeah, there's some panels you can use. I haven't gotten into the intraoral ones, but the idea is maybe I got something on the plane. Getting some methylene blue on board. They're talking about that with the mitochondria and then activating it with the red light. So I'm assuming, it could have a similar response in the gingiva and the gums, on the tongue.
I am anti-methylene blue.
Yeah, are you?
Yeah.
Well, these are the discussions we need to have, about everything.
Well, let's talk about it for a second. But let me ask the question from Jen first, though.
Sure.
And then we'll talk about methylene blue, because I'm interested in your opinion on it. She says, hold on. She says she has receding gums, and she's oil pulling with coconut oil and a tad of organic myrrh oil. Any other suggestions?
I like that. Well, the consensus about oil pulling, there was just an article, and the mainstream always tries to make it seem like it's woo-woo, these subjects. But 2,000 years ago, they knew oil pulling was effective with arthritis, or the arthritis went away. But I like myrrh. I like essential oils in a blend like that. Recession is common, but the bone is following, or the soft tissue rather, is following bone. So that means already you have bone loss. I'm learning a lot about this. I'm always learning new things. But the osteopenia in women is tricky after menopause, and you need to maybe look into bioidenticals and that kind of thing. It's very sophisticated in some ways. But if your libido is not good and you're not sleeping well, you might have low progesterone.
Mm-hmm.
But what was the question?
The question was, you answered it. She's doing
Okay.
She's doing what she needs to be doing for
Yeah. So yeah, the time is really interesting. So I tell people to start at 5 minutes, and then what happens is your saliva builds up, so you have to let some of it off, let some of it out, and then continue. If you can go for 10 minutes, that's kind of an interesting thing. And if you do that over time, you'll actually just be able to brush off tartar at some point. So it will take the tartar off. I mean,
Yeah.
It will eventually.
That's good. I don't have very much of that anymore because I don't consume anything other than beef. But for people that do, that's huge.
That's a great test. Actually, go 2 weeks carnivore and see what your gums look like. If you floss or brush and it bleeds, you have periodontal disease, which is the most common disease on the planet.
I used to have that, by the way. I never bleed anymore. I can brush my gums like it's, yeah.
Me too, yeah. Anyway, it's just a wonderful thing seeing it happen on yourself, and then you tell other people, and you start to get a little preachy. But we just want to help each other.
Yes. I don't even feel like it's preachy. Like, you run the risk of like alienating people if you're critiquing them, right? So like when I'm out and about, if somebody's sitting there eating a huge piece of cake, I'm not saying you shouldn't be eating that. That's really not good for you, blah, blah, blah. But like if people ask me, how come you're not having any cake? I'll take the opportunity to tell them why.
Yeah.
Because it's
That's
so
good. Well,
weird.
I sometimes say, may I give you an idea? Ask almost
I'm,
before I say something. But
I'm going to try and do something here. I'm going to try and add a third person and see what happens.
is Frank on right now? I think I've been texted. I don't know.
No. See, it's going to come out weird. Let me see how
Oh,
I
look
can.
at that. No, I like, is it Tracy? I see Tracy on my screen.
Yeah, I know you see her full screen, but
Oh,
not.
we're gone. Yeah, we're gone.
Hold on. Hold on a second.
I'm half of what I was.
All right. Ignore my little box up here on the right. Just ignore
Okay.
this. I'm telling the
Hi,
viewers.
Tracy, you getting a consult now here?
Hi, yes, I have a question.
Sure.
Okay. I am 54 years old. And 2 years ago, the dentist hygienist announces that she needs to now measure my gums for something. And she's spouting off numbers. Nobody's explained. What does this mean? Nobody has ever explained it. Like I said, I'm 54. Why suddenly are we measuring teeth or gums or something in the last couple of years? And for the last few years, dentists have been yelling at me for brushing too hard. So now, do you want me to brush harder because you're getting higher number? Please explain this to me.
Yeah, that's two questions, but I think I'll remember. First one is there are periodontal probings that you really must do to evaluate someone's health of their gums, and it's pretty standard of care. If they hadn't done it in the past, that's kind of an oversight. It's the most actually next to TMJ. I think it's the most lawsuit on not diagnosed periodontal disease in a dental practice. So they're just trying to see if things are. It should almost hurt a little bit, unfortunately, but it's like
It does.
yeah, when you put a toothpick in, jam it in your teeth, it's sort of like feels like that. They're just measuring 6 sites around a tooth, and the common place for bone loss is in between the teeth. So those are angled slightly when they're measuring, and they're just measuring that. They should have told you what they're doing. I mean, I don't like when people don't explain things to people, but that's a very good thing. And then they count the bleeding spots. So if you do it gently enough, but it almost hurts a little bit, if you get bleeding on probing, that's one of the criteria for what level of bone, gum infection you might have. So it's really important that they do that. Everyone should have that. And the other thing was the toothbrushing. It's been determined that it's probably the dentifrice or the toothpaste in terms of particle size, and that the bristles are really just standard now. They're really small, more softer than they used to be, and they were more rigid before. But I think recession is generally speaking perio or bruxing or grinding your teeth. If you're on there are medications that your doctor doesn't tell you. If you're on a antidepressant, for example, you might brush your teeth. You might grind your teeth at night, clench. And
I've always done that.
Yeah, so that's where you get bone loss from. That you get bone loss, but you also get recession. And I can't tell you what level you're at or anything like that based on this conversation. But you should have 2s and 3s. 0, 1, 2s, and 3s. Those are millimeter markings. But if you're getting into 5s and 6s, usually they're saying some other code, maybe for bleeding on probing. So they might say spot or something. They might have an internal code, not to upset you or whatever. But yeah, so those are all common, and I'm glad they're probing. I'm glad they're probing you.
I'm not. I made them stop last time. It was too painful.
Yeah, no, but that's it. If it did hurt, that's also, it's a little bit of a symptom that there's inflammation and it hurts you. So they should be able to probe without, unless they're really heavy-handed, then might hurt.
I have weird teeth. Trust me. If I touch, my teeth are excessively sensitive. So.
Or do you work within the
Trust me.
show? Or are you just a fan? Are you a fan of Tracy's?
I'm a big fan.
Oh. Tracy's amazing.
Thank you for answering my question. So how do I get the numbers down? Do I brush harder? What do I do?
You need to talk to the hygienist and the dentist about what they found.
Okay.
And if they told you have to come back more often, or in like 3 months, or if you need to come right back, that means you might have something they want to deal with. If they use a Cavitron on you and and are really using if they're just hand scaling. Anyway, you should know what's
Yeah.
going on. It's good that you asked that question, but be more inquisitive when you go to the dentist. Don't be a pain. They need to get the work done, but you want to ask questions
I
and you can,
generally have to take Valium to go to the dentist, so I'm not very communicative to do
yeah.
that. So,
Well, that's tricky. Usually those things, Tracy would love the trauma stuff that's associated with dentistry is ridiculous and it's sad. And it's just because old school, and also the anesthetics have improved quite a bit. So a lot of people our age, I'm 58, our age will say they never got numb. So they felt it because the anesthetics weren't as good. But now we can numb someone with an infection in 15 minutes and take out a tooth. So, yeah.
okay. Thank you for the information.
You're welcome. This is fun, Tracy.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great break for me. Tracy, do you have anything else? Do you want to stay in here, or do you want to?
I'm
I'm not
to
reading
think
the
what else
chat
am
right
I-
now. Are people asking questions in the chat?
People are talking about the dentist in general and how they won't go to see anything but a holistic dentist because everything, all the other dentists upsell. And yes, as a former dental industry professional, I can agree they do. Most of them do, and they charge ridiculous amounts of money for things that they really shouldn't, truthfully.
Well, we're pioneers, and I'm not saying it like to just pat myself on the back. There were maybe 300 people at this conference, and we have about 2,000 dentists. Well, we just hit 1,600 in the IAOMT, International Academy of Oral Medicine Toxicology. They're a great organization. They had the state senator that sponsored the Utah final decision on getting fluoride out of the whole state. So it's unbelievable. Anyway, dominoes, things are falling, whatever the expression is. Things are starting to happen. Amalgam was banned in Europe in 25. 2 companies stopped making amalgam fillings, Dentsply and Kerr. There's only like 1 or 2 companies that make it still.
Dentsply is a huge company.
Yeah. I once bought 50 shares because I wanted to go to a meeting and just like rant, but I never did it. But anyway, there's a lot we could talk about. I think the connection between the mouth and the body is what I love to talk about, what you put in your mouth and building blocks that are supposed to be the real things that we need, not these fake things. And real food is what Weston Price talked about with his patients. He was trying to figure out why they were having heart attacks and strokes. And he saw the mouth deteriorating to the point where then he went on a worldwide trip with his wife and looked at all the cultures, and everybody, that's a pun because a lot of just little people will ferment things. So there's lots of cultures, fermented vegetables and dairy, but he looked at what's real food and why they had growth and development. I can rip it like Casey Means here if I want, or Cali. I messed that up too. Cali Means. But the food that he talked about was often fat, where we get all the fat soluble vitamins, which is up in the thing that we're missing now because they're stripping out fat in most food because cholesterol causes heart disease, which is a myth. So there's all these reasons why, it coincided with an abundance of high fructose corn syrup just coming in. That's what he talks about. I do like what Tracy was saying about different people in different lanes, but we're really all saying the same thing, which is eat real food with high nutrient density that our bodies can assimilate.
Yep.
That's not garbage, opening up gap junctions like glyphosate, killing your GI, killing your bugs. There's so many things I could rant about, but
it's true, and it all comes back around to food. It really does. So when I see people getting attacked for focusing on food, it's the bare bones of it all. Like, I argue that if people were eating right and were very, very healthy overall, that a virus, novel or not, wouldn't have scared them, and they wouldn't have even thought twice about saying no to an intervention like the COVID vaccine. Because they would know it's like, I don't need to put a toxic or any foreign substance in my body to supplement my immune system. My immune system works frickin' fantastic because my gut microbiome is healthy and the rest of me is healthy. So it is really important. I know nobody can see me right now because
We know what you look like.
Here.
It's okay. But yeah, so the methylene blue thing real quick, I'll run a few minutes over, just a few.
Yeah, what I know about it is I have a book that I started to read, but what I know about it was it was like chemically altered to make hydrochloroquine is what I think I heard and read. But um, I talked to Mercola about it a little bit, and I had a jar of this. Actually, there's some methylene blue in here. I had a jar that was not very dark, and he said that's not enough of a dose. So I don't know the dose. I've been taking it just if I go in my sauna.
It
And
scares me for several reasons.
yeah, go ahead.
It works the same as an MAOI or an SSRI uptake inhibitor. And so what that does is it F's with the way your body metabolizes serotonin. And because of that, and because I know, it wasn't a natural substance, it started off as a dye. And because the dosing is so independent to each person, that I think that if this gets pushed too widely without the education on
Right.
it has the chance to really hurt people.
Yeah, there's different concentrations. There's some with preservatives, and there's some that's not clean. It's always that people really are sick. That's why they try different things.
Mm-hmm.
I took it to see if I could turn my urine blue, and but I just took small drops to see. And we had a friend who was telling me his wife had geographic tongue, and he just coated her tongue with so it was very like, I don't know if you can look up geographic tongue.
It's a lupus symptom.
Yeah, but it cleaned up her in one night. It cleaned up like the topography and the way it looked in terms of I don't know. It's supposed to knock some things off the electron transport chain to make mitochondria.
It does.
And yeah, and so, but I understand. I have to look at the serotonin. I'm going to look in that for that this week.
With the population so heavily dependent on SSRI meds right now, for those people who are searching to feel better, seeing methylene blue propped up as this big tell-all, everything answer, and not knowing and understanding how it could affect you in terms of serotonin syndrome is so dangerous.
No, it is. You're right. It also may affect the MOI or one of the enzymes. So
yes.
If you're on
anything, basically, and then you're
well,
done.
I'm not on anything, so
listen.
I guess,
have fun. I'm not telling you not to take it. I'm just expressing my concern over why I think it's dangerous to recommend on a wide scale. It's not like you're saying, "Oh, this is a pure B12 supplement."
Yeah. Well, I hope I didn't say use it. I didn't really.
No, you didn't. You didn't.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you at all. You just mentioned it in collaboration with other things because it does. It increases the flow of oxygen into the cells. It speeds up healing. It does have its what are known as benefits, but it also has a number of detrimental effects, in my opinion. I'm not a doctor, but I've read a lot about it.
Yeah. Well, you play one on TV.
Don't ever take. Don't. Oh, it's all over.
There's a lot. Again, it's getting back to people feel crappy. So get the layers of crap off you. Stop eating Pringles. I can't stop thinking about a close-up thing I saw of Pringles. I don't know if it was fake, but it was like little millipede, little worms or something on the top. Anyway, the food that we're eating is the problem, and that's easy to do. Start to just replace those things that we eat. Pop-Tart, strawberry Pop-Tart. Maybe we just do strawberries that are organic or whatever. Like just getting rid of the bad food.
Jen in the chat said there are too many supplements out there, and I feel like we need to get quality food so we don't have to use them so much. 100% yes. There are people are on like tons and tons and tons of supplements.
There's an article I read about it's a little bit of a psyop about nutritional supplements. If they inundate us with that, we can't make heads or tails of it, which is what's happens with me because there are so many things people ask me about, but it's not just there could be some faux companies, but it's just, there's a plethora of different ideas about what to do. But real food means if you can't eat it, then you might want to supplement with whole food supplements like vitamin C, whole food supplements. I recommend. That's one thing I do recommend. And
you actually do get vitamin C from beef.
I know you do. And I have organ supplements in my office too.
Yeah.
Because
people don't like to eat liver.
Head to tail stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's good. You know, like for somebody who's deficient, like right now, I'm actually, I'll just tell my story real quick. I've been eating skirt steak, right, for 3 years. It's just not nutrient dense enough. The skirt steak has less nutrients than a ribeye does. So now I'm noticing a little bit of a change in my fingernails 3 years in, right? So I'm going to start supplementing with some B12 until I can transition to fully ribeye. And then that'll take
The
care of
ribeye.
it.
Are you
Yeah.
having problems with the fat? No.
No, I love eating fat. I'm gonna love every damn second of it. I don't know what it was, but when I used to eat ribeye exclusively before I became a carnivore, and when I became a carnivore, I just didn't want it anymore. It was like I would rather have another cut. So I just I moved to outside skirt. I don't know, some kind of skirt. Will cooks it for me every day, and it's done very well for me. I'm good everywhere else, but I think I just have a little bit of a B12 deficiency and potentially a teeny bit of a D3 deficiency. So now I went on a quest to find a clean B12 supplement as I transition over, and that kicks up for me. Good luck trying to find, I found one, but God, is it hard. Will found it for me. But it's not easy to find clean supplementation.
Yeah. Well, the varying the cow body, you know, ground chuck is really good. And sometimes they're putting heart, liver in that, like a blend, which is really nice. Actually, for chili, that's great. You can't tell. Your kid wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah, and, that's how I recommend people get their organ meat. If they can't eat liver, just get it in the chop meat.
Yeah. And actually, people who want it, you talked about money one time about buying. If you want to buy a bunch of chuck or buy a cow with somebody and then take pieces of it and put it in your freezer, that's the best way to do it. Local farm.
Yep.
Best way.
You're getting it for like $4 or $5 a pound at that point.
Save money. Yeah. Save money.
Yeah. And it's outside skirt that I eat, says Will. But the nutrient content in an outside skirt steak is way less than what is in a ribeye steak.
Correct.
So, yeah. Well, there's that.
I'm glad you didn't skirt around that subject.
No, it's important. I think it's important to talk about the downfalls of things, and I've had a few little pitfalls along my journey. It's how your body reacts to stuff, and then learning about what's best. That's all. I mean, there are people that go into ketosis or transitioning into burning ketones and fat instead of sugar and carbs that get very, very ill for a little while and feel like absolute trash and think that they're hurting themselves when meanwhile they're actually healing themselves, but there's a little bit of a hump to get over. So
that's when you're dumping fat, you're also dumping the contents of the, mercury, a lot of fat soluble toxins go into the fat. So when you're losing weight, it's dangerous. You feel like malaise, and because you're really getting a bunch of that stuff. So maybe binders at night, I would suggest, if people are doing this, like a binder like that's specifically like activated charcoal, organic, coconut is good, but there are good brands out there.
We could talk about oxalate dumping too. I mean, people have that happen. I did. I loved my spinach. Spinach is one of the highest oxalate vegetables that you can consume, and
they chelate heavy metals again too, not just calcium, not just in the joints. So they also are a chelator. That's why people have the joint problems. But my friend who's a dentist was eating a bowl of organic spinach, and he was having joint issues.
Yeah, it's a big problem. People don't even realize. Like they'll eat vegetables thinking kale is good for you, and they don't realize what. And for some people, it's fine. For some people, but for most people or a lot of people, it's not. Like myself, and it comes out your skin. Those crystals will come out your skin.
Well, I grew up with broccoli rabe, and I'm gonna still eat broccoli rabe.
You do whatever makes you happy.
I put in sauce. I put in meat. I put in sausage and things, and I have the flavor of the broccoli rabe, the bitter, and I cook it down pretty good. But I don't have problems with the sulforaphanes that are chemical, defense chemicals. That's the thing, Tracy, right? That plants have defense chemicals.
No, they're not sentient living beings. They can't have defense chemicals.
But phytates in nuts, you have to soak your nuts, which is always fun. Frank would like that. Tell him to soak his nuts. Those are phytic acid causes a problem for your digestion. Gigi
in the chat said, "What about them vaccinating all of our beef? You call There are plenty of ranches out there that are not wildly expensive ranches. You call them up, you ask them what their practice is. They will tell you if they're vaccinating their cattle or not. And that's how we find our ranches that we eat from. I'm about to test out some steak that was sent to me from ranchers that I met in at CPAC, and it's carrot finished beef. Never had it before.
Wow.
It's very exclusive. Nobody really does it, but I'm gonna try their beef out and tell everybody how it is. Carrot finished.
Probably tastes like rabbit.
Maybe. Or horse.
That was a joke. Yeah, just kidding.
Well, I
But
guess
anyway, I don't want to mention names, but you look at regenerative farms, around you, you should be able to look for specific, and you can ask them questions like, do you use fluoride if you're asking a dentist? But if you're asking them, do they use grain? Sometimes people will say they use grain, but it's organic to get them through. I just read an article about some of the things they allow as, they say they're grass finished. So
yeah,
but
if your chickens and your pork are being fed a soy blend and you have a problem with soy, then you probably don't want to eat the pork that's eating the soy. But you start in the beginning, right? So we evolved to this pureness level over 3 years. We didn't start saying we're only going to eat this, and this. We started eating basically what we had available to us and learning along the way. So it's not meant to overwhelm people with don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. You start wherever is natural for you and take the path that's best for you and learn along the way. It becomes a passion project for you when you start feeling better and you're like, holy shit, this is amazing. I need to learn more. And it ultimately becomes that for everybody who takes the journey.
Yeah, that get rid of the sugar. That's I always say that's first thing you really should do. And then, then these seed oils, they come in fast food industry and processed food. They use the seed oils. So just start taking the layers away. Read labels.
Yep. Just start reading your labels when you go shopping. Just start there. Go into your homework assignment. Go into your pantry. Read the labels on your packages today. Take everything that has more than 4 ingredients and put it on the left.
Can I tell you one thing about food that I learned this weekend? Well, I learned it before, but it was reiterated by Tom Levy, who's a cardiologist, an attorney. He's written books about root canals. But he talks about iron, how they fortify iron in cereal. And you won't even believe. It's like there's 4 ways and 3 are just iron shavings, basically. So we're getting too much iron, and there's a reaction called the Fenton reaction. When there's free iron in our body, it's very inflammatory. It's the most damaging thing that makes free radicals in our body is free iron. Anyway, so in 4 Girl Scout cookies, I'm going to say it. I'm throwing them under the bus. Anyway.
Oh, we've done that several times. I wrote a whole column about it. So,
well, 4 of those cookies have 1.5 milligrams of iron, which is enough for your year. I mean, we recycle iron all the time, and unless you get your period, you have to. Men don't really have to supplement with that, and it's standard of care. This is the biggest problem in medicine. The standard of care is often misguided because they say you have anemia, but it might be another deficiency like copper. That's a whole rabbit hole to go down. But for all intents and purposes, you shouldn't really. It's difficult for me to say this as a dentist. I'm not a real doctor, but taking too much iron will cause bacterial overgrowth and it'll mess up the GI, and it's inflammatory, makes kids sick. So, but they think you're anemic. So sometimes you have to really find out if the testing is really what's guiding everybody, and sometimes the tests are incorrect.
Well, the problem is that they're making the the normal on those tests what the general population's average is. So
Right.
If the general population is over ironed, for lack of a better word, they're getting so much iron, then the mean will be a lot higher than it technically should be. So when you're low, quote, you're actually normal, but because the average member of the population is so high, it makes it look like you're abnormal.
Yeah, they're all skewed. If that's good for a thyroid panel, the same thing. The average person's not going to get a thyroid panel. So anybody who gets a thyroid panel already is thought of as having thyroid problem.
Yep.
So that skews everything one way. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's we have a lot to do is basically the end of it. And so I think the message of today's show is find the thing that you're most passionate about. And if that's 10 things, then that's freaking fantastic. But there are a lot of lanes here for us to drive in. And ultimately, everybody has a place. And we need to clone you, Dr. Dentist.
Oh, I don't believe in that. But I do want to help people. Like, that's why I really chose you, Tracy, because I thought you were so genuinely, I'm going to cry. This
Aw.
weekend, all the men cried on stage. It's a beautiful thing. So, and
What's
Pierre,
happening
you
right
dropped
now in this country is beautiful. It really, truly is.
there's a lot of light being shined on subjects. So, yeah.
Well, give everybody your X account because everybody comes to me and is like, where do I find him? Where do I find him? Because they love you.
I think it's just my dental wellness center, Marc Denola. I think it is. I didn't go on X today to see.
Well, it's down, so don't bother.
I'm sorry?
It's
It's
been
down.
down like basically all day. I can't even stream the show there today. But I mean,
Huh?
the tears are coming from a place of pureness and of connection and of love. Like that is what is the future here.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. It really is. It's why I wake up every morning. So God bless you for everything you do. I mean, I just love talking to you every time we chat on our little chats and talk about things. And
Maybe you can come up and do a show up here.
I mean, I'm down.
All right. I'll come down come down there.
Yeah, well, we should actually do a show. We'll I have to think. The problem is I'm so overwhelmed right now that I can't focus on anything. And so I need to fix that and get
I have
settled.
something I want to, I've been working on. I've been working on the document that was the executive order that Kennedy put out. So I'm editing it with my ideas and stuff. I'm send it to you. So send me an email. so
Okay, I will.
But I think you're right. You talked about it already. You can pick whatever makes you happy. Like Harry, what's Monty Harry? What's her name?
Vonnie Harry.
Bonnie Harry. Yeah, so she's picking on that because the same manufacturer is making another product. Same with M&M Mars and all these other companies. They send out stuff like, so it's not going to kill them to give us the same, stuff. And I don't agree with Fruit Loops as a food, but it would be nice if they didn't have like these cancer chemicals in there.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you're going to eat Fruit Loops, at least make them somewhat less toxic for people, right? If moms are going to grab the Fruit Loops because it's fast and they think that eggs take too long, then at least make the Fruit Loops somewhat less poison.
Yeah, like an organic Cheerio without glyphosate is better than the regular Cheerios.
Yeah. Baby steps. Baby
Yeah.
steps.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to end it here. We went about 20 minutes over for Dr.
Nice
Marc
to
and
talk to you, Tracy.
Nice
Tracy.
to talk to you too.
You
And
too, thank
the
you.
other Tracy. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. This was a great conversation.
Yeah.
I love
Thanks
it.
Thanks for bringing me in.
Of course. Every Monday, if I'm not doing something insane. Talk to you guys soon. Awesome stuff. So that's what the show is all about, people. That is what the show is all about. Hopefully you will share this one out with your friends. We'll be back tomorrow. I had a great time today. This is where my heart lies right now. I could talk about this stuff for hours, and I hope that this was beneficial and you guys learned stuff, and that you'll bring this back to people you know. I'm going to put links in the show notes today. I'll probably play some stuff I wasn't able to get to today on tomorrow. And yeah, until then.